Good evening. Today has been a very busy day, and so here I am folding some laundry and doing my video for the day. Today was Molly's 8-year-old birthday party, and so we got ready for that all morning, and then 10 very energetic, lively 8-year-old girls came over, and they had a really good time. Brady and I went to go see the Mario movie, which I went to go see yesterday, and I fell asleep for the last 30 minutes of it because I was very tired yesterday. And the seats that recline in the movie theater are very, very comfortable. Anyway, so we went to go see it today with Matthew and Hannah, one of my favorite couples. And enjoyed it today, then came back, went to dinner with Matthew and Hannah. And here we are. We got ready for bed, kids are in bed, and there's laundry to do. So I titled the title of this video, by the end of this video, it will be the future. Because we literally create our future one moment at a time. One moment at a time we're creating our future. I woke up this morning and what I'm living now is the future from this morning. And so a lot of my past, and I've talked to many people who are like this, who have thought this way, but like, what does the future hold? I don't know what I'm supposed to do. What am I going to do with my life? And we create this big monster of what the future could hold. And we forget that we can control what happens right here and right now. It's that idea that says, don't let what you can't do keep you from doing what you can do. We create our future one moment, one decision at a time. We create and control what happens. And obviously, I depend and lean heavily on God to direct me for my future. I think of the verse in James that says, I don't exactly remember what it says, but it warns against saying this is what we're going to do tomorrow. Well, I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I mean, frankly, I don't know what I'm going to do the next 5 minutes. But I can guess I'm probably still going to be doing laundry in 5 minutes. I don't know what I'm going to do in the next 6 months. I can guess. I can point my feet in that direction, and I can choose to take steps in that direction. Even though I don't really know what it's going to exactly hold, I can choose whether or not I let what I don't know in 6 months or 6 years from now keep me from doing what I can do right now. And I remember I've coached several people on this very perspective of, I don't know what my future, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Okay, that's fine. A lot of people don't know what they're supposed to do. Don't let that stop you. We create our future one decision at a time. This is the future. This is the future. And when I started this video a couple minutes ago, that was the past. I didn't realize for most of my life how much ownership I can have of my life. I didn't realize for most of my life how my decisions shape my future. My default, my go-to if I'm tired and I really don't want to do anything important is to just sit on the couch and open Facebook. I got one game on my phone, the car game, that sometimes I just sit down and play almost thoughtlessly. Just sit down. And what I don't realize is that when I do that, I'm creating my future playing that game. I'm creating the future scrolling through Facebook. Now, is that a bad thing to do? No, it's not. But if that is my pattern of behavior over and over and over and over and over again, I am creating my future just looking at Facebook. I'm creating my future playing a card game on my phone. Ephesians says, redeeming the time for the days that are evil, buying back that time, taking ownership of that time. And it's just a frank reminder that as I'm watching this video, I'm creating my future. As you're watching this video, you're creating the future. As I'm creating this video, I'm creating the future. We get a choice. And we get to the end of each day, and I get to look back and say, I chose to do what I did this day. I chose to create my life the way I did. Now, there's certain circumstances that set up some boundaries around what I can do on a certain day. Obviously, I'm waking up in Georgia. Today I lived in Georgia. I'm not going to go see the Grand Canyon today, right? I'm not going to go see the Northern Lights in Iceland tonight. Okay, that's fine. But within the given boundaries of what's set before us, we get to choose what we do. And I think the power of choice, I think as a whole, society does not recognize how much power of choice we have, how much decision-making authority we have in our lives. I have, for a lot of my life in different ways, just kind of gone along the train of life, not really thinking about what I'm doing or why I'm doing it, where I'm exactly headed. I'm just, well, this is the thing that I'm doing, and this is the way I've always done it. And I'm waking up this morning, I'm doing this because I've always done that. Now, because I've always done it is not necessarily a bad reason if that's why I'm intentionally doing it, because I've always done it that way. But if the only reason you're doing something is because you've always done it that way, pause, stop, take a moment. Is this really what you want to do? And if you really don't know what your future holds or where you want your future to be, that's fine. Don't let that stop you. What is the next smallest step you can take that you feel is the right direction to go? Create the big future, a little future at a time. So here we are, a few minutes into this video. If you've watched this, or you're watching this right now, there's one person right now watching. There's been a couple people watching in the past few minutes. You've chosen to watch this as you create your future. What are you going to do tomorrow? Tomorrow's Easter. Tomorrow we get to celebrate especially the one day a year that's especially the special celebration of Christ's resurrection. The question is, what am I going to do with that? Every day for my entire, or every Easter for my entire life, I've gotten up and gone to church on Easter. That's what I've always done. The question is, am I doing it tomorrow because that's what I've always done? Or am I doing it tomorrow because that's what I'm choosing to do with my time? That's how I'm choosing to worship and celebrate Christ's resurrection, by going to church. There are certain things we do by default. That's okay. But if we do everything by default, then we end up living a default, average, mediocre life. And we get to the end of our lives, whether we live 40, 45, 75, or 105 years, and we get to the end of our lives and we would look back and say, well, yeah, that's the life I lived, almost accidentally. I don't want to live my life accidentally. I don't just want to live my life by default. I want to live my life intentionally, choosing to be faithful with what God has given me. In fact, I think it's safe to say living life by default, just doing the things because we've always done them, is often the thing that keeps us from living faithfully with what God has called us to do. Because living faithfully requires intention. Living faithfully requires radical ownership of our decisions. Living faithfully, for me, requires me to say, what is the very next best step to do over and over and over and over again? Living faithfully requires me to recognize that I do create my future, one moment, one decision at a time. Living by default is just taking what's been handed to me and doing it because I've always done it that way. And not changing because change requires, well, it's uncomfortable sometimes. It requires physical strength sometimes. It requires mental strength. It requires emotional capacity to change. Sometimes we don't want to do that. Living life by default is the enemy, oftentimes, of living a faithful life. I'm not going to live a default life. I am not living a default life. I am being the person who is faithful. I am being the person who's going to redeem the time. I am being the person who chooses what I choose to do because that's what I want to do as I create my future one moment at a time. Will you, with me, choose to create your future one moment at a time? Will you, with me, live life in such a way that we get to hear, well done, thou good and faithful servant, when we get to heaven? That's the mission that I'm on. Join me on my mission. Let's live faithfully so we hear God say, well done, thou good and faithful servant, because you didn't live life by default.